Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Good morning. Kim, is the list, the order exactly except for that one?
Yes.
Okay. So the order of the bills are going to be the ones that are already out there, with one exception. Senate Bill 157 we're doing in the third position, but that is the only change at the moment on the schedule. We're going to get right into it with Senate Bill 102. This is a department bill, sports wagering.
Good morning, Chair Gazone, Vice Chair Rosapeth, and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Jennifer Beskid, and I'm with the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Control Agency. I'm here on behalf of our Director, John Martin, who is across the street giving a briefing. Senate Bill 102 pertains to sports wagering proceedings. The agency and the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Control Commission have been operating with the understanding the Commission has the authority to set promotional play limits through regulation in the same manner that they do for video lottery facilities, or more commonly known as casinos. It was brought to our attention last year that State Government Article 91E is not as clear as the language in 91A, and that Section 91A governs video lottery facilities, 91E governing sports wagering. A letter of advice from the Office of the Attorney General stated that provisions appear to provide the Commission with some authority to limit the promotional play deduction for sports wagering licensees. The precise scope of that authority is not entirely clear. Passage of Senate Bill 102 would clearly align the Commission's authority to establish limits by regulation on the amount of promotional play that a sports wagering licensee is able to deduct from sports wagering proceeds under the law. For these reasons, we are requesting a favorable report on Senate Bill 102.
Questions? Thank you very much. I have one unfavorable, James Hartman.
Oops.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee, my name is James Hartman, State Government Relations Director at FanDuel, and I'm here today to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 102. Senate Bill 102 would grant the State Lottery and Gaming Control Commission the ability to unilaterally raise taxes on sports betting operators, jeopardizing the state's growing illicit and growing legal and regulated market, and risking driving customers to the unregulated, untaxed, illicit market. It's important that we're clear about what this proposal would do, and that's give the Commission the ability to raise taxes on sports betting operators without legislative approval and limiting our ability to promote the legal regulated market. When a company gives a customer a free bet or promotion, that's essentially a coupon allowing them to place a wager. If the customer wins, the company pays out the bet and loses money. If the customer doesn't win, the company doesn't make any money because the customer did not actually wager any money. Under this proposal, though, the Commission further treats those coupons as real money, even though they are not. This is a policy decision that would be detrimental to the continued growth of the legalized sports betting in the state and would negatively impact the state's long-term revenue. Offering promotions is a critical tool for legal operators to move customers from the illegal, untaxed markets to the legal regulated markets. Currently, unregulated illicit operators are competing every day with the regulated market, offering their customers promotions and free bets. And not only are those promotions and free bets untaxed, all of their revenue is untaxed. And to be clear, these unregulated operators are bad actors. They advertise with celebrities to appear legitimate and target children and other vulnerable populations through social media advertising. Many don't provide stringent age verifications. Few, if any, provide responsible gaming tools. And unregulated operators exploits a customer's personal or financial information. There is no recourse. On the other hand, the legal sports betting market is among the most highly regulated industries in America, and at the heart of the regulated market is a commitment to responsible gaming and this regulated market. Every transaction takes place through a registered account where customer age, identity, and location are verified. So I'd ask that, this body last year raised taxes on the sports betting industry. Months later, this commission is seeking approval to further raise our taxes in perpetuity without legislative approval. This body just rejected similar efforts last year for casinos, so I urge you to do the same here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you very much. Okay, Senate Bill 176.
Good morning again. We've submitted our position paper, which describes the issues Senate Bill 176 is seeking to address. The agency was audited by the Office of Legislative Audits, and it was determined that video lottery facilities were not intercepting prize money for amounts due to the state because the state law only allows interception for lottery winnings, not casino winnings. Senate Bill 176 would add language to the state finance and procurement article that would authorize casinos to intercept amounts due to the state. We were recently made aware of amendments to this bill that have been submitted by the Department of Budget Management. While we are in the process of reviewing them, they appear to be procedural, and we will work with the department should we have any concerns. And for these reasons, we are requesting a favorable report on Senate Bill 176.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 157.
Good morning, Chair Gazzoni, Vice Chair Rosapeth, honorable members of the committee. For the record, my name is Atif Chaudhry, and the Secretary of the Maryland Department of General Services. And I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 157. With me to my left here is Wallace Sherman, our Chief Procurement Officer. I want to take a quick moment to thank this committee for their continued support of our broader procurement efforts, and specifically the Procurement Reform Act of 2025, which is already showing significant benefits to the state. DGS developed this legislation to improve and enhance the use of competitive proof of concept procurement method, also known as CPC, which was initially authorized in 2024 under Senate Bill 818. At its core, CPC is a tool designed to let state agencies test and evaluate innovative solutions in real-world conditions before committing to a full contract. Information technology and AI procurements are the best examples of how this procurement methodology could benefit the state, where the vendor community is aware of solutions that the state agencies may not necessarily be. For instance, throughout the country, airports are piloting autonomous AI wheelchairs with the goal of reducing staff burden and wait times for customers. A proof of concept procurement could be conducted, in theory, allowing the state to evaluate whether these types of solutions are viable in real time during a proof of concept phase, and based on that success could determine whether to issue an award for full implementation of the solution. All this could be done in a single procurement. Under the existing CPC framework, based on the law approved in 2024, there is yet to be a single competitive proof of concept procurement that has been pursued by a state agency. This is because the existing law does not authorize full implementation of a solution and lacks the flexibility agencies need to effectively evaluate, refine, and transition innovative solutions into operational deployment. Although several agencies have expressed interest in utilizing the CPC methodology, each has ultimately chosen a different approach once these limitations were explained, demonstrating a clear need for this procurement method once the limitations are addressed. Senate Bill 157 addresses these limitations and offers process improvements from a procurement standpoint. In summary, Senate Bill 157 here before you today, and in layman's terms, essentially addresses the challenges from Senate Bill 818 of 2024 when it was initially authorized. That initial authorization allowed agencies to do a proof of concept and then just stop. So agencies could evaluate what's in the market, but you had to stop and then do a full-fledged procurement after the fact. Modifying the existing law under Senate Bill 157 allows state agencies to, from initiation of a procurement, do an evaluation of technology solutions and then move forward with an award to do a full implementation thereafter, which will help speed up procurements. Therefore, I respectfully request your support for this legislation to ensure that cost savings, efficiency, and quality assurance benefits of the proof of concept methodology can be fully realized. This concludes my remarks, and I'm going to hand over to Wallace Sherman, our Chief Procurement Officer, to more fully explain the merits and operations of this legislation.
Thank you, Secretary Chaudhry, and good morning, Chair Gazzoni and members of the committee. For the record again, I am Wallace Sermons. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer for the state of Maryland, and I'm here today to testify in support of Senate Bill 157. Not to be too repetitive, but the Competitive Proof of Concept, or CPC, is a procurement approach that allows the state to test potential solutions before committing to a full contract. Instead of relying only on written or oral proposals, agencies can observe how different solutions perform in real-world conditions. This helps reduce risk, supports innovation, and allows the state to make better informed decisions on how to spend public funds. Under a CPC, agencies issue a solicitation focused on the problem rather than detailed technical requirements. Multiple vendors may be selected to demonstrate their solutions during a short proof of concept period, ideally at no or minimum cost to the state. Based on those demonstrations, the state can determine under the same solicitation whether one or more solutions should move forward to implementation. Although the CPC was authorized in 2024, the current statutory language does not allow the process to function as I just described. Currently, the CPC is limited to the proof of concept phase, and as a result, even when a proof of concept is successful, agencies must issue a separate solicitation. This creates delays and significantly reduces the practical value of CPC. Senate Bill 157 establishes CPC as its own procurement method, which allows agencies, when appropriate, to evaluate solutions and proceed to implementation under a single solicitation. After obtaining internal approval, agencies must then secure approval from myself as the Chief Procurement Officer and demonstrate that the procurement is in the best interests of the state. Existing safeguards also remain in effect, including the Department of Information Technology and Board of Public Work reviews. For these reasons, the Office of State Procurement respectfully requests a favorable report on Senate Bill 157, and we are happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Thank you. Questions for either witness? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senate Bill 25. And then after that, we are going to make an adjustment for 109 and 194. Senator Kagan, you know that you've got your farther down the list.
I was told I'm number 4 also. No,
I don't know where.
4, 8, and 18 is what I was told. I can even come back.
We'll look into that, but okay.
Whatever you
Yeah.
say.
Why don't we begin with this? Mr. Secretary, nice to see you.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chair Gazzoni, committee members. Delighted to be here with you this morning. For the record, I'm Maryland Commerce Secretary Harry Coker, and I'm here to testify in support of Senate Bill number 25. I'm also joined at the table by Jennifer Lahat, Commerce's Managing Director of Policy, Research, and Government Affairs, who can help answer any questions that you all might have. We're also joined by my friend Kelly Schultz, who's the CEO of the Maryland Tech Council, Tasha Cornish, the Executive Director of the Cybersecurity Association, and John Fiastro, Fiastro Consultant. Senate Bill 25 is a departmental bill which alters the existing Buy Maryland Cybersecurity Tax Credit to make the program more effective. This program was initially established through the legislation sponsored by Chair Gazzoni in 2018, and we
I thought it was
appreciate
perfect
that,
then.
sir. And it offers a tax credit to qualified Maryland companies that purchase cybersecurity technology and services from qualified Maryland cybersecurity companies. The goal being to support Maryland's cyber industry and to ensure that Maryland's businesses are secure. So far, the program has had moderate success in that each year, an average of 38 buyers are awarded about $440,000 in credit for buying cybersecurity technologies and services from 12 sellers. But while the program has an annual cap of $4 million, only about $3 million in credits have been issued over the entire lifetime of the program. We can do better. We must do better. Senate Bill 25 proposes several changes to increase utilization of the program, including making the tax credit refundable so that nonprofits and businesses with no tax liabilities are incentivized by the program, eliminating the limit on the size of a company that can be considered a qualified buyer for the purpose of the tax credit, increasing the limit on annual revenue for a business to be considered a qualified seller for the purpose of the tax credit, increasing the amount of credits that can be claimed by a qualified buyer for purchases from a single qualified seller from $200,000 to $1 million, and finally, eliminating a requirement that some of the credit be awarded for the purchase of services, not products. We are also codifying the name we have been utilizing for the program, as well as the intent of the program. And we are proposing to add a sunset date as a built-in check to ensure that these reforms are effective. We expect to be back in a few years asking you to extend this successful program, but if these changes are not effective, then it may be best to allow the program to sunset. These proposals were developed in partnership with the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland and based on feedback from many of its members. We have also incorporated several recommendations from the Department of Legislative Services, which conducted a review of the bill in 2023. Senate Bill 2025 will help make the current underutilized program a more valuable resource for Maryland's cyber industry and will help more Maryland companies to ensure that their data and their customers' data is secure. We respectfully request a favorable report. We appreciate your time, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the Secretary? Okay. Let's hear what the rest of the groups have to say.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of Budget and Tax. It's good to be back on a positive note here today. My name is Kelly Schultz, and I'm the CEO of the Maryland Tech Council. And on behalf of our over 800 members, we are pleased to join the Secretary and the Department of Commerce in support of their departmental bill, Senate Bill 25. Maryland's technology sector is a critical driver of our state's economy. It drives high-paying jobs, fuels innovation, and attracts global investment. From cybersecurity and dense technology to life sciences and data analytics, our companies help keep Maryland competitive on the national and international stage. Small cybersecurity firms, in particular, are a cornerstone of this ecosystem. These companies often spin out of federal research, military service, and academic institutions, and they play a vital role in protecting our digital infrastructure, our businesses, and our government. Yet they do face significant challenges as they grow, especially in today's economic climate. The cost of doing business in Maryland is already high. Rising labor costs, increasing rents, higher energy prices, and inflation driven operating expenses are putting real pressure on small and emerging companies. For some of these businesses, especially early-stage cybersecurity firms, every dollar matters. Policies that provide support and stability can be the difference between staying and growing in Maryland or relocating to lower-cost states. Senate Bill 25 sends a clear message, and I want to emphasize that message that we want to be able to send to the values of innovation, entrepreneurship, and the job creators who power our economy. By supporting this bill, you are helping to ensure that our state remains a place where technology companies can start, scale, and succeed. And investing in our tech sector is not just about supporting individual businesses. It's about strengthening our workforce, expanding our tax base, and securing Maryland's long-term economic competitiveness. On behalf of the Maryland Tech Council members, we urge your support of Senate Bill 25. Thank you.
Good morning. For the record, Tasha Cornish, Executive Director of the Cybersecurity Association. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of Senate Bill 25. I want to begin by thanking Chair Gazzoni for your sponsorship of this bill. Your continued support is vital as Maryland maintains its position as a national leader in the cybersecurity sector. We often think of cyber attacks as big business problems, but for a Maryland small business or nonprofit, a single data breach can be an existential threat. These organizations handle sensitive customer data, donor information, and intellectual property, yet they often lack the IT budgets of global corporations. This bill ensures that these Main Street entities can afford the same high-level proprietary protections developed right here in our state. By rebranding this as the Buy Maryland Cybersecurity Tax Credit, the bill aligns our state security needs with our economic development goals. Of note, as we heard, this bill eliminates the previous 50-employee limit for qualified buyers, which allows more Maryland entities to qualify for the credit regardless of their staff size. The bill also raises the revenue cap for qualified sellers from $5 million to $10 million, and this allows our homegrown cyber firms to stay in the program longer as they scale, providing buyers with the mature, stable partners they need. It also empowers the nonprofit sector, and this is a big one for our members and for our entire state. By making the tax credit refundable, the bill ensures that Maryland nonprofits who pay no income tax but face significant cyber risk can finally receive a refund to offset the cost of these critical services. Lastly, the bill increases the aggregate credit cap from $200,000 to $1 million, and this ensures that the program is governed by the needs of the buyers and the quality of technology rather than restrictive individual seller caps. This legislation recognizes that a more secure Maryland is a more prosperous Maryland. We have several sellers with us here today who participate in the program from Hill Technology Solutions, Avid Partners, and Summit Business Technologies, and they can speak to how these specific changes will help them better protect our local business community. We respectfully urge a favorable report on Senate Bill 25.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is John Fiastro of Fiastro Consulting on behalf of my client, the Cybersecurity Association. We do want to thank the Department of Commerce, Secretary Coker, and Jen Lahat for their hard work on this bill. We've had some time to work on it. We think that the changes are strong and will bring increased usage of the credit. In short, SB 25 strengthens Maryland's cybersecurity posture by moving more buyers off the sideline. These changes will nudge people to use, businesses and nonprofits, to use the credit more than they have up to this point. We're confident of that. More importantly, the spending on cybersecurity services will take place within state firms, which we know is a priority of the administration, and we've heard time and again that it's a priority of this Maryland General Assembly. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. We respectfully request a favorable report on SB 25.
Thank you. Questions for this panel? All right, you have other folks who want to come up. You might want to make some room for them and give them a shot.
Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Good morning. I am Ron Hill, and I am a Maryland business owner working in cybersecurity. I am here to support of Senate Bill 25, which raises the qualified seller revenue cap from $5 million to $10 million. Right now, the $5 million cap pushes smaller and developing companies like mine out of the program just as they're becoming stable enough to hire more Maryland workers and invest in better security tools. At $5 million, we're not big. We're just getting started. And forcing companies like mine out at that point disrupts growth and weakens the support we provide to the small and mid-sized businesses that depend on us. And those businesses need help more than ever. Nationwide, 43% of all cyber attacks now target small businesses, the very organizations this program is designed to protect. This tax credit gives Maryland's small and mid-sized businesses the support they need to invest in stronger cyber defenses, helping them stay secure and continue driving our state's economic growth. This also motivates them to work with Maryland-based cybersecurity businesses, furthering this economic growth. Raising the cap to $10 million lets local cybersecurity companies grow with the program, not out of it. That means stronger Maryland expertise, more Maryland jobs, and better protection for the businesses that keep our state running. Let's strengthen the companies working every day to protect Maryland. Please give Senate Bill 25 a favorable report and help us keep Maryland businesses secure. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michael Cohn. I'm the CEO of Summit Business Technologies, an Anne Arundel security business, cybersecurity business. I opened my business in 1979. And through the 47 years that we've been in business, everyone is aware of the benefits that have accrued to businesses in this area. Not only businesses, but also nonprofits, service organizations, and many other types of organizations. With those benefits, now comes defending against threats to our data and our privacy. I would like to focus on a small section of this bill, which is related to nonprofits. We were one of the few original participants in this program several years ago, and we worked through some of the challenges in making that happen. And this past year, we did much better with getting our customers to use the credit. However, the exclusion of nonprofits is really something that I feel needs to be corrected. We work with a number of nonprofits that are social nonprofits. They're basically grant funded, and they really face what I call a Sophie's Choice decision. They have very limited budgets, very specific budgets, and every dollar that they have to spend on cybersecurity takes a dollar away from them spending it on their mission. And their missions are pretty important. Maryland Legal Services Corporation, Women's Housing Coalition, Women's Law Center are a few of our customers in Maryland, and they agonize over how to spend those funds. So I think opening it up to nonprofits is going to make the utilization of the program much broader, much easier for a whole category that has been excluded. And I think they will be very, very hungry to take advantage of the refundable tax credit to protect their data, their clients' data in a lot of cases. These are very socially appropriate and desirable organizations that we work with. We already contribute to them as a company. We do some things for them that they don't have to pay for, but it would be, but it's putting patches on systems that really could be designed much better. So thank you for your attention today, and I do hope that these changes are approved.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your time. My name is Sean Levin, president of Avid Practice, Maryland-based managed IT and cybersecurity services firm providing services to approximately 20 nonprofits and more than 175 small businesses and mid-sized businesses across Maryland since 2003. SB 25 helps correct 4 issues that have come up over the years. First, some of the eligibility is a little unclear. The bill references NIST cybersecurity framework, but provides no operational guidance. Buyers and sellers cannot determine whether regional services, managed detection, required security licensing from Microsoft and others, firewall subscriptions, or incident response qualify. And this uncertainty stalls purchasing decisions. Second, as you've heard, nonprofits, they pay no income tax, so they receive no benefit. The 50-employee cap is arbitrary. Cyber risk is determined by data sensitivity and network exposure, not payroll size. A 120-employee manufacturer with a 15-person office has the same tax service as a 40-person firm. The caps that are being proposed will raise these the ability for companies like ours as we grow and our clients as they grow to continue to afford protection, and it helps make sure that we can continue to service them appropriately. Nonprofits, we support many nonprofits across the state, mental health providers, legal aid organizations, family services, autism services. One example, 125 employee Baltimore nonprofit servicing young adults with autism. They protect health and employment data for vulnerable population. Under the current law, they receive no benefits, and the credit's non-refundable. We also service small and mid-sized businesses, manufacturers. A lot of their staff are field services or skilled laborers. They are not the office staff who are really at risk. What we do, we make significant investment into those clients that can't afford it. We absorb the cost and provide enterprise-grade services at our own expense. Remediation still causes days of downtime because infrastructure is inadequate. Provider charity is not a policy. It's not scalable and it's not durable. SB 25 creates a sustainable mechanism so organizations can implement appropriate protection without depending on whether their IT provider can subsidize another year. I urge for a favorable report. This will definitely help many of our businesses and ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions for this panel? Thank you all very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you explain how this would work with a nonprofit organization? I mean, are you just talking about a grant program?
No, so the taxes as we understand them, the way this bill is being rewritten, is that currently in order to receive benefit, it is an offset to your Maryland state income taxes. So as this bill is being rewritten, the funds that they receive will actually come back as the form of a grant. That money, instead of being paid towards their tax liability, will be paid directly back to the organization. So, for example, if they spend $100,000 and they receive the $50,000 benefit, instead of it offsetting their tax liability, it just comes back to the organization.
Got it. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Secretary Coker, do you have the next bill? Yeah. Yeah, just to clarify, because there seems to be some confusion, and it doesn't appear that, I don't think I think we've been pretty clear about it, unfortunately. I have, and I see several senators here. Senator Brooks, you're 14 and 15. Senator Kagan, you're 16, 17, 18. Senator Folden was here, and he's 25, 26, 27. So,
The website doesn't reflect that, Mr. Chair.
evidently, we'll check it, but staff seems to think it does. But we will absolutely make sure that's all right. And I did get the request to make one special exception, and Senator Simonaire is here, and we will get to his in a minute. But hopefully we're back on track.
They're not looking.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Very good. We'll keep talking about making sure that that's a better system. This is the first time we've had so many people show up.
I mean, it's.
Yeah. This is unusual. But anyway, we'll do our best to accommodate everybody. Mr. Secretary, welcome again.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Good morning again, Chair Gazzoni, Vice Chair Rosapep, and committee members. For the record, I'm still Harry Coker, Maryland Commerce Secretary, and here to testify in support of Senate Bill 77. Once again, joined at the table by Jennifer Lahat, Commerce's Managing Director of Policy, Research, and Government Affairs, who's available to help answer any questions that you all may have. Senate Bill 77 is a departmental bill which clarifies, not expands or adds, but clarifies an exemption to the state finance and procurement article for certain contracts entered into by Commerce's Office of International Investment and Trade, or OIIT for short. OIIT is a division within the Department of Commerce that is responsible for attracting international companies to locate in Maryland and helping Maryland-based companies connect with international partners and clients so they can begin or expand their exports or otherwise do business abroad. Participating in foreign trade missions, attending international trade shows, and participating in other international activities is a statutory obligation of the office and sometimes requires OIIT to enter into contracts or to make grants to international entities. As a result, OIIT has historically had a limited exemption from Division 2 of the State Finance and Procurement article. Recent changes in Division 1 of that article potentially conflict with the established practice in a way that could interfere with OIIT's statutory obligations by prohibiting state contracts from including certain provisions which OIIT's international vendors require in their contracts. For example, international vendors generally won't agree to name Maryland as the venue for potential dispute as required by Division 1. To be clear, Senate Bill 77 does not expand any procurement exemptions. This measure will confirm and clarify the historical narrow exemption for OIIT so the office can continue its vital work of attracting foreign investment and promoting Maryland businesses from abroad. We respectfully request a favorable report, and once again, we appreciate your time and welcome your questions.
Example of who you might contract with under this provision.
Example of what, sir?
Who you would be contracting with for what?
It could be a convention in a foreign country.
Gotcha. I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, so now we are going to jump in and do 109 and then 194.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said 109 first? For the record, Senator Brian Simonaire presenting Senate Bill 109. This is a local Anne Arundel County bill that alters the property tax deferment program. I will give the committee the Senate delegation's letter after we meet and ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Senate Bill 194.
Okay, do we have one witness or no?
I have that on the next one. I didn't have any on the first one, but
On 194?
yes.
Okay. So start 194 now?
Please.
Okay. Thank you. For the record, Senator Brian Simonaire presenting Senate Bill 194. Out of respect for the committee, I have a lot of written testimony. You'll see the Department of Veterans and Military Family Support with caucus letter. Back in 2019, the Space Force was created. Members of this General Assembly updated them specifically when they saw a list of different branches. However, there are some not so obvious references that need to be changed. This consensus legislation does two things. First, it updates the term active service of the military, Navy, and air service to be active service of the military, naval, and air and space service. It aligns with the federal definition in 38 USC 101. It also centralizes this term in the state government 9901, as we did last year with all military law. And there's one amendment that also updates one of the terms in there to be veteran because it's defined in the state government. We don't need to have it locally in each one, and it adds co-sponsors. Importantly, there's no material fiscal impact, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Senator. I know you've done a great job in the nitty-gritty of all of these bills, so appreciate that. So you have one witness? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of this committee, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning in favor of Senate Bill 194. My name is David Lutzow. I'm a retired Senior Master Sergeant, United States Air Force, a member, yeah, there you go, a life member of the Air Force Sergeants Association, and a director with the Maryland Military Coalition. And at this time, I'd like to go like this because Senator Simonaire was very gracious in providing my entire testimony, which not really. But anyway, I'd like to emphasize the fact that I continue, I'll do this. to continue to cross paths with individuals that have no idea how the Space Force relates to the armed forces and or the uniformed services and how that aligns with the Pentagon. As Senator Simon Eric stated, land, air, and sea is always referenced when it comes to personnel in uniform. Adding space to that, land, air, sea, and space, better identifies their place in the armed forces and helps people better understand the importance of space aside from air being the Air Force. So with those, I'd like to thank the committee and testify in favor, ask for a favorable report of the senator's bill, and again, thank the committee for the time that we have today. And I keep saying Sardinas myself, but Senator Simon Ayer's continued leadership.
Thank you. Questions for the senator or the witness? Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now we are, I think, back on schedule, mostly. Senate Bill 85. Secretary Savage here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you all again.
Yes.
I am Katie Savage. I serve as the Secretary of the Maryland Department of Information Technology. It was a pleasure to see you again. Today I'm here to testify in support of DeWitt's departmental bill, SB 85. I'm joined by Matt Dreyer, who's the Director of Resource Sharing and Infrastructure Agreements at DeWitt. And he's here with me today to answer any technical or operational questions from the committee. So the goal of SB 85 is to allow DeWitt greater flexibility over funds that we generate from our resource sharing agreements. So just by way of background, resource sharing agreements, or RSAs, are legal agreements that the state puts in place with private industry, mainly telecommunications companies, for their use of state assets. So think, towers, fiber, right-of-way, bridges, et cetera. So DeWitt is the operator of the RSA program on behalf of the state of Maryland. Currently, under law, revenues received from these agreements may only be used for the DeWitt infrastructure programs of Maryland First, which is our radio network, and Network Maryland, which is our broadband network. This proposed bill allows DeWitt more flexibility to manage the needs across DeWitt programs and the flexibility to reinvest these revenues at my discretion should a compelling use case exist. So a couple of examples of what I mean by that. So for example, the DeWitt RSA program might receive an application from a potential RSA tenant, so a telecommunications firm, for example, on a state tower that does not currently have a Maryland First or a Network Maryland presence. This hypothetical tower may also have currently installed old, unused legacy equipment that needs to be removed. This bill, if passed into law, would allow the agency to coordinate with DeWitt to request the use of RSA revenues to remove this legacy equipment and make room for a revenue-generating applicant. This utility, for example, would then pay an annual fee for occupancy and over time provide a return on investment to the state. Other examples may include minor replacements of tower beacon lights or tower compound fence repairs, to structural remediation surveys, or to assist with the remediation work itself. I also want to note that the bill aligns with the state's broader digital infrastructure strategy. Last year, about this time, Governor Moore signed an executive order that establishes the Digital Infrastructure Group, or DIG, under DeWitt's leadership. DIG brings together the executive branch agencies to coordinate the planning, funding, and deployment of shared fiber and tower infrastructure, and supports a fiber-first strategy that extends capacity, reduces duplication, and helps close the digital divide, which is something we discussed yesterday. By centralizing infrastructure coordination through DIG, the state can pursue shared projects that allow us to build once and serve multiple agency needs. We see the RSA flexibility as one of the key funding pillars for those shared investments. So SB 85 allows us to build literally on that coordination body that we put in place last year and direct revenue with more flexibility. Importantly, SB 85 does not create any new costs for state agency or local governments. It does not introduce new fees or require additional appropriations. It just allows us to make smarter and more strategic uses of revenue and further incentivize agencies to allow revenue sharing agreements on their infrastructure. So for these reasons, we strongly urge you to support SB 85. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Okay, please.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have another witness or not? No? Okay, great. So we're going to move to Senator Lewis Young, Senate Bill 170.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. This is a bill that you not only heard last year, but this committee voted it out unanimously. So I will just give you a refresher on what the bill is. The bill sets up a task force to relook the school funding formula. The formula that we currently use was established in 2002. The reason that I brought this bill forward along with my county executive is that our current funding formula disproportionately hurts communities that are growing rapidly. Frederick, of course, is the fastest growing county in the state. So the way the formula works is enrollment is looked at on September 30th, and the formula is based on that. But the new fiscal year doesn't go into effect until the following July. Meanwhile, for the past couple of years, Frederick has had an increase of 700, 800 students that are unfunded, meaning that the county has to absorb those additional costs. One recent year, it was to the tune of about $7 million. So this task force has about 11 members, representative from the House, the Senate, and several education organizations. Task is re-examine it, look at best practices around the nation. We have no preconceived recommendation. In fact, we might find that what we have is the most appropriate approach. It's time to relook it specifically because of this phenomenon. So the bill did not pass in the House last year, and Delegate Fair, who's my cross-file, and I met with the budget chair the day before session to have a conversation with him to really explain the motivation. He understands it and says that subject to the Speaker's approval, he is in support. So you all moved this last year. Hope you'll do it again. And thank you for the opportunity for the refresher.
Good morning, everyone. County Executive Jessica Fitzwater, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, thank you. I am just going to say ditto to my senator. I appreciate that this bill is not new to you all and did receive unanimous support last year, and I would just urge that same support this year for all the reasons articulated in my written testimony as well as the senator's testimony this morning. Thank you so much.
Any questions? Great, thank you.
I think we're okay.
Yep, we got the
Let's
next one,
just
yes.
stay. Okay.
Yes, 224.
224. Okay. This is also a bill we heard last year. It came over from the House. There was no Senate cross-file. In fact, it passed in the House 2 years in a row. The bill sets up a special taxing authority at the county level, allows them to set special rates. And I distinctly remember in our voting session, the chair said, "Do we have a cross-file? Is anyone familiar with this bill?" And unfortunately, there was no affirmative answer. I told that to my district mate, and the short story is, be careful what you ask for. So here I am, representing and explaining what this bill actually does. It permits counties to establish a subclass for real properties consisting of commercial and industrial properties only. It does not affect residential. Pointing that out up front because you might see in the testimony concerns about residential. It exempts residential. In fact, if it's a mixed-use parcel, then the residential portion is exempted. So it requires the funds, however, to be used for two very specific purposes. They're either directed to transportation through the establishment of a special taxing district, or the local Board of Education through a county-wide special property tax rate. So the purpose is already pre-designated. I'll give you a relevant example. Virginia has put this into effect in several northern counties and coastal counties. So they have done it selectively. And that's why some of their transportation is pretty modern and quite able to handle capacity because they've had these special taxing districts that allow them to put money to transportation. So the county can establish both a special taxing district or a countywide special rate, and the bill caps at 12.5 cents per $100 of assessed value. The bill has no effect on existing general real property tax rates. And the special rate must always be in addition to the general property tax rate, meaning that the commercial industrial can never be lower than the residential rate. Couple of protections around this concept. It protects small businesses by allowing counties to establish a tax credit for businesses employing 15 or fewer people. I mentioned it protects residential property in mixed-use development. It requires counties to automatically grant the credit or exemption to mixed use. It requires counties to accept applications for the credit or exemption on property not automatically recognized. It notifies property owners affected by the special rate of the possibility of a credit or exemption and includes information on how to apply for notification. So why is this important, and why is this important now? Gives counties flexibility. Municipalities have this already. So this is an equity issue. It gives counties a tool for more flexibility. You all know that we've taken recent cost shifts to the counties. We heard about a few more today, such as teacher pensions, special education, SDOT operating costs, community college retirements, non-public placements for special needs children, and wrongful conviction compensation. So this gives them a tool to have some balance and decision-making. I think that pretty much explains it. I've given Virginia as an example. How might we use it? I'm just going to speculate here. So, for example, you may have heard data centers are coming to Maryland, specifically Frederick County. You could do an overlay on that parcel. You might remember in 2021 at the state level, data centers were given tax incentives. But here they are now, creating traffic, creating noise, absorbing a lot of water, requiring more air quality monitoring, more of a drain on law enforcement because of complaints. So this could give the county the flexibility to do an overlay on that parcel. So I wanted to just give you one example that might be relevant so you could see how this would work. And now I'd like to turn it over to my county executive for further elaboration.
Thank you very much, Senator, and thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, and members of the Budget and Taxation Committee for the opportunity to speak on SB 224. For the record, I am Jessica Fitzwater, the County Executive for Frederick County, and I'm here to join with my Senator today to speak to the importance of expanding local authority to set special tax rates for subclasses of property, because I believe this is truly a critical tool for local leaders like myself to raise the revenue required to finance the infrastructure and services that our communities need. As you know, local governments have quite limited tools to be able to raise the revenue, and with the rising costs of housing, we face pressure from our constituents to raise that revenue without increasing their residential property taxes. At the same time, we have growing transportation infrastructure demands and evolving education needs that require constant and consistent investment. As the county executive of the fastest growing county in Maryland, I can assure you that I feel these two immovable forces every day, especially during budget season, which we're also, of course, in all of our county jurisdictions. SB 224 will give county leaders like myself, who are deeply committed to the promises of the blueprint for Maryland's future. I know you all know I am a teacher also for 16 years and want to make sure we're investing in education and the vast needs of our transportation infrastructure. This will give us a unique tool to raise revenues for both of these critical needs without inequitably impacting our residents. I also believe that the guardrails and protections incorporated into this bill that were outlined in detail by Senator Lewis Young ensure that this tool will be used effectively and responsibly while still providing local government with the flexibility to tailor the special rates to the unique landscapes in their own communities. So thank you so much for your consideration of SB 224. I want to thank Senator Lewis Young for her leadership on this initiative and taking over this as the Senate sponsor, and I urge you to please advance this bill with a favorable report. Thank you.
Questions for,
Question, you mentioned Virginia as another state that has policies like this, and I see, because I was looking to see whether there are other counties that are weighing in, and I see that Mako is weighing in support of the bill. Do you know if other states allow this approach besides Virginia? I mean, is this a common, do you have any sense?
I'm not sure. I just looked at Virginia because I looked at last year's testimony.
Right.
And Rich Madalino emphasized that point. But I did miss the most important point of all. This is enabling legislation. It is not a mandate.
So you have to come back before us.
As the county exec mentioned, everyone could use it differently. The commercial base in Somerset is very different than the commercial base in Montgomery County. And in fact, you could even use a hybrid approach and raise a commercial rate and lower residential rate.
Right, I see it has many layers of approval.
Right.
Thank you.
very good. Thank you both. Oh, I'm sorry. Senator. first question.
All right, that'd be good.
Yeah, better be good. You're not supposed to, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
It's tricky.
Don't touch.
It's exciting.
Kim, is there a problem? Why is it blinking?
Light's not on.
Oh, there you
There
go.
we go.
Now it's on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
If we like the question,
All right.
we can hear
Okay.
it.
Now I'm on. Thank
We
you,
have a whole set of hazing.
a whole bunch of it. Thank you, Senator and County Executive, for this. And thank you for your, you guys are working hard to continue to have growth and stuff like that. But how do you sort of match this up with other jurisdictions that maybe haven't been as helpful? We had a real housing shortage. We got, and that's all sort of lines. And this actually does touch different parts of the housing stock, right? I mean, how do you sort of understand what you might do with this, but others might use it in a way that would reduce some of the opportunities that we're trying to address with the housing stock? How do you address that sort of that tension that would be there? Thank you.
Okay. That's a great question, and I think that is one of the questions that has come up as this was looked at last year. I assume primarily because of the ability that municipalities already have to set different rates. So I do want to be clear that this bill actually really limits, even, and again, to Senator Hedelman's point, that this would still have to go through a local legislative process. So this is just enabling legislation. How each county would choose to do that and set up a local bill that would then have to go through its county council or its commissioners with public process. That would be a very robust process. But this bill does not allow counties to set different rates for residential, different types of residential, which I think gets to a little bit more of your point, whereas a county could, if they were trying to limit multifamily housing or more dense housing, they could put higher property tax rates on that, and then that could be a disincentive to build that type of housing. This bill does not allow counties to do that. You still would have to do a flat residential property tax. Right now, we don't have the authority to bifurcate at all between commercial and residential, let alone look at classes within the two. So this would allow there to be an opportunity, simply even for a conversation, should there be two different rates for residential and commercial, and then within the commercial, very limited ability to look at classes, and then still only with the revenues going specifically to transportation if it's a special taxing district, or if it's countywide for it to go only to education. And then with the small business protections in there as well, which are very important. So I really feel that and actually really appreciate that this conversation has gone on over for a couple of years, because it's allowed for a lot of input to really get this bill in the shape that I think it can move forward with the correct guardrails and protections and still give locals a tool that we really need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a really quick question. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. How might this authority impact local economic development in any way? How might this?
Yeah, so I think, well, do you mind if, okay. I think this is why the local authority matters so much, because it does give local jurisdictions the opportunities to have those conversations, knowing that different counties have different industries that are, a larger part of their local economy. You can really have the opportunity to have those conversations and to weigh, the pros and cons of taking an action like this. So it's a little hard to answer your question with a one-size-fits-all answer, because the way that the bill is currently drafted, it really does give locals the opportunity to think through those and to ultimately maybe, and as I think many will, make the decision that they're not interested in doing this at all, or if they are interested, it allows them to look at what those pros and cons may be.
And I understand, and I know it's not a mandated thing, and I understand that. I just wanted to see if in some way it could be affected in any way for economic development. And we want a positive and not a negative, of course. but
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I just want to remind you that there are two approaches, county-wise or just an overlay to a specific area. And I think that would help support your concern.
Thank you. We have one more favorable, Mr. Canali, and then a group of unfavorable I'll bring up together.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Kevin Canali here on behalf of the Maryland Association of Counties in strong support of this bill. You have my written testimony, but I do want to make a few points. Counties support this bill generally for three main reasons. Number one, it creates an option and not a mandate. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about what this might mean locally. The same process that's taking place here would happen locally. And so it would allow counties to put an option on the table, an option that right now we don't have. So we want more options to put on the table to talk to our residents, to talk to our businesses, and come up with a framework that works best for each individual jurisdiction, aligning growth, school costs. Those are big ticket items for counties. And so this bill allows us to do that. It's not a mandate. The second is that it allows counties to align growth or costs where growth occurs, right? We've heard a lot about transit-oriented development. You'll hear a lot about that from the governor as well. But it allows counties to take a look at the broad framework where development is going to occur, and again, with input from stakeholders, and decide whether or not it makes sense to change the tax structure to try to align those costs where the growth is occurring, and not a blunt force instrument where everybody gets a property tax increase, including on residential. That's what we want to avoid. The third is that the authority is very carefully limited and accountable, and you heard that from the senator and from the county executive. Municipalities have this authority. It's broad. There are no guardrails. This bill is completely different. This went through a work group with multiple stakeholders. This bill has plenty of guardrails on it, and it's very limited in the instances that counties could exercise this authority. Again, this is not a new or radical concept. This is a concept that's existed in Maryland for a long time. There are many states, cities, counties across the country that allow for this. Senator Heldman, I can follow up with you and get you that information, but it's not a new idea. We know that school costs are rising every single day. Our road money is a problem. Highway user revenue, we're going to be in here asking you to please help us there, but we understand the state's budget picture as well. Bottom line is we need more options so that we don't have to tax everyone across the board, including our most vulnerable residents, or we're not going to be able to keep up with our shared priorities of the blueprint, school construction, keeping the roads safe, et cetera. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to take any questions, but we'd urge a favorable report.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got Hugo Cantu, Grayson Wiggins, Tom Ballantyne, Lori Graff, and then we have somebody on virtual also. Yes. She's here. I got her too. Whoever wants to start. Anybody?
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll start. Tom Ballantyne with NAIOP, Maryland. We're a commercial real estate trade association here in opposition to Senate Bill 244. This bill would authorize Baltimore City and the counties to tax commercial and industrial property at higher rates than other property types, and we expect that this will increase the disproportionate share of local government services that are funded by commercial real estate. We require fewer services and generate more net tax revenue than other classes of property. And the tax surcharge would be added to state and local property taxes that are already paid, transfer taxes, and recordation taxes that are paid on the value of mortgages, deeds, and leases. Real estate that's held in pass-through entities would also be subject to the 2% capital gains tax enacted last year. At the local level, this bill would double tax commercial properties in Frederick and other counties that already pay transportation impact fees, excise taxes, and build infrastructure to satisfy adequate public facilities requirements. This happens both at new construction and when existing buildings undergo major renovations. Even with the 12.5 cent cap, this bill would authorize rate increases of between 12 and 15% in most counties. And the tax surcharge would layer on top of the increase in commercial tax base, for example, in Frederick County, which grew 26% between 2020 and 2024. So these pass through to tenants. The tax credit is optional, so the pass-through to tenants is a real concern, and it would negatively impact refinancing, loan underwriting, and put downward pressure on building values. All this puts financial pressure on commercial real estate at a time when markets across Maryland are facing persistent double-digit vacancy rates. So for these reasons, we respectfully recommend your unfavorable report. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Hugo Cantu, representing the Apartment and Office Building Association. AOBA represents more than 23 million square feet of commercial office space in Montgomery and Prince George's County. And I mean, just cutting it simply, the commercial office market is very weak right now. Most recent economic data, Montgomery County says we've risen in office vacancy rates from 17 to 18% in 1 year. Prince George's County from 11 to roughly 13. And that's just in 1 year. In Maryland, across the state, it's about half a percentage in just a year. It's not a strong market right now. And what this bill is attempting to do is you're adding a tax on top of the taxes that are already being paid by these commercial properties. And not to mention, Montgomery County is going to announce their special taxing district on March 15th. So, I mean, I've heard enabling, but enabling is just the same as a mandate for my members in this economy. It doesn't make sense. It's not worth it. We're asking for a unfavorable report. Sorry. This bill is, you're taking more from less. There's less out there now, and this bill is going to take more from a smaller and smaller piece of the pie. Office values are in a steep decline. If you see in our written, we have multiple properties in there that have been selling at double-digit losses or being auctioned off because it's just not viable anymore. Last year we said if the trend continues, revenue will continue to decline, and counties would be back here asking for more money, and that's what's happening right now. The answer isn't to take more; it's to invite more. And for these reasons, AOBA urges an unfavorable report on SB 224.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Lori Graff. I'm the CEO of the Maryland Building Industry Association, also here in respectful opposition of House Bill or Senate Bill 224. We have some concerns. Obviously, there are some exemptions for multifamily, but they seem to be somewhat discretionary. We obviously have concerns about making housing or multifamily more expensive, more difficult to build. I will tell you, it is not getting easier in these counties to build. It is only getting harder. So we have a lot of concerns about just trying to grow our tax space. We should be growing, not disincentivizing, as has been stated before. So for those reasons, we would ask for an unfavorable report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Grayson Wiggins here on behalf of the Maryland Chamber of Commerce. I'll be brief. I would echo all of the concerns previously articulated. Our members have been very encouraged by the consistent discussion and prioritization of economic growth and job creation that we've been hearing from members here in the Senate. We look forward to working with you on a lot of those policies this session. We don't see this policy as in alignment with economic growth and job creation. The most recent reports I've seen put us around 18% commercial vacancy rate, which is higher than DC and Virginia. And we think an additional tax that further exacerbates our slow economic growth, even if it's just giving permission to the counties, is a big concern for us and our members. And I would echo the statement that was made earlier that I think one of the reasons we have slow economic growth in the state is because of county policies and the impact that they have had on growth at the local level, which then bubbles up here at the state level. And so for those reasons, we're concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one individual unfavorable online, Russell Lacey.
Good afternoon, Chair Dezzoni and Vice Chair Rosapep. My name is Russell Lacey. I'm here today on behalf of the Greater Bethesda Chamber of Commerce, respectfully in opposition to Senate Bill 224. While we support an appropriately funded education budget and transportation system, we have great concerns about this proposal. Montgomery County residents were hit by a significant countywide tax increase in '23 with an additional increase proposed in 24, all in the name of increasing education funding. Laying this proposal on top of all that, we believe increases the cost of housing. Nothing in this bill prohibits a local jurisdiction from layering this differential tax rate structure on top of an already existing special taxing district, or from also requiring impact fees, thereby double and possibly triple taxing residents and businesses. In this situation, though, the business community absorbs the full brunt of that tax burden. The bill also allows for credit against the tax for small businesses, 15 employees or less. This pushes much of the tax burden then onto larger anchor tenants who are crucial to attract smaller businesses in an area. As you know, small businesses depend on large businesses to stay in business. This bill also creates an administrative challenge for the property owner, property management side. Many larger properties are subdivided into spaces that house, as defined by this bill, small businesses. Moreover, the General Assembly will undoubtedly consider a number of bills this year that create new ways of funding transportation education. It doesn't make sense to consider SB 224 on its own. We need to take a look at all these proposals together to come up with the best approach. We have supported and participated in efforts at the local level to try and identify solutions to this challenge and welcome the opportunity to do so at the state level. We do, but we don't believe Senate Bill 224 is the answer. For this reason, we urge an unfavorable vote. Thank you for considering and allowing us to testify today.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for anyone on this panel? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going to do another slight detour to 231. And as they come up, I just to the committee real quick, because I think you all know this, but I think we're all doing a little muscle memory starting back again. And that's why there's been some, I think, confusion out here. And we can all tell our colleagues they should know this. And I know you all do. When you're going to go talk or present in another committee, you'll get a call. And you'll be informed, or yeah, you'll be informed this happened. I don't know why they were showing up here, but the policy is the same policy that we've always had, and I like to accommodate people the best I can, but we also have to. Yeah, we have to do a little retraining, but I know you all know what's going to happen. You're going to get that call before you go over to the next committee. So anyhow. This is 231 departmental bill, horse racing.
Good afternoon, Chair Gazone, Vice Chair Rosa Pepp, and members of the Budget and Taxation Committee. For the record, my name is Christopher Mers, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Maryland Racing Commission with the Maryland Department of Labor. Today, I'm testifying in support of SB 231. The reason why I'm here today is because Maryland lacks a comprehensive safeguard against the sale and export of racehorses and breeding stock for the purpose of slaughter, commercial human or animal consumption. While the act of slaughtering a racehorse is illegal in Maryland, horse owners can sell or transfer racehorses to be slaughtered, effectively creating a loophole. The lack of this safeguard presents a significant risk to the humane treatment of racehorses and breeding stock, as well as the retired racehorse or racehorse in transition. This undermines the public trust in the state's racing industries, which has potentially significant economic impacts on our state. The equine industry has a $2.9 billion impact on the Maryland economy. Horse racing contributes $885 million and nearly 11,000 jobs. And as this committee is well aware, the state has committed $400 million to rebuild historical Pimlico Racecourse and construct a new training center in an effort to revitalize Maryland's rich racing heritage. As stewards of our racing athletes, we must do everything we can to protect the driver of that economic engine, the horse. To be clear, this bill is about first and foremost the protection of these athletes, but is also very real and direct recognition of their downstream economic impacts on Marylanders from across the state. These impacts to the racing industry have widespread effects on the entire racing ecosystem of professionals in Maryland. Examples of this vast ecosystem include veterinarians that support horses not only at Pimlico, but on family horse farms across the state, blacksmiths, and even feed stores. Maryland has a long and distinguished racing heritage, and the state continues to make significant investments in the future of the industry. To protect that investment, Appropriate safeguard must be in place to ensure the health and welfare of racing horses and their offspring. Failure to do so risks undermining both the integrity of the sport and the legacy that Maryland has worked hard to preserve for generations. I'm here today to be the voice for our horses, humbly asking you to give them the proper protections they so rightly deserve. Finally, I do want to make the committee aware of one amendment. The amendment can be found in our written testimony. We'll make sure the committee has a formal copy ASAP. The amendment ensures that Maryland has the authority to go after individuals who violate this law and establish a statute of limitations of 6 months. Without this amendment, we cannot go after violators who may have vacated the state. With that, I respectfully request a favorable with amendments report by the committee on SB 231, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. Questions? Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for the testimony. Is the fee high enough?
The fee high enough?
In other words, the penalty?
I would like it to be higher, but that's where we, speaking with stakeholders and looking at other racing jurisdictions, that's where the fee is at right now, but have no problems with going higher.
Because you're talking about people with possibly deep pockets and the fine is $2,000.
Yeah. $2,000 in jail time. So yeah, higher fees would, just looking at what other jurisdictions do, that's where they kind of had the toll at, but be more than happy to be a leader in that and go higher.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we are back on Senate Bill 137. This is a departmental bill, personal property tax.
Good morning, Chair Gazzoni, members of the committee. My name is Bob Yeager. I'm the director of the Department of Assessments and Taxation. Here in support of our departmental bill, Senate Bill 137. This bill would allow SDAT to request additional documentation for business entities that report less than $20,000 in business personal property. So business personal property is property owned by a business that's not land or a structure. So furniture, fixtures, equipment that the business uses in the course of their operations. The state of Maryland requires businesses to report the amount they owe in business personal property annually, even those that have no such property. County, as in real property, SDAT values that property and transmits that to the counties and Baltimore City, and the counties collect tax revenue based on these reports. In 2022, the department sponsored a bill that raised the threshold for businesses not to report business personal property from $2,500 to $20,000. This bill does not interfere with that increase in the exemption amount for businesses that indicate that their property is under that value. They would not submit an annual report, business personal property return, and would not pay business personal property taxes. But in that bill, the department included language that prohibited the department from being able to request any and all documentation to back up the self-reported assessment. So it's standard practice for business personal property to, for example, if the previous year your property was valued at $500,000 and you submitted an annual report that said now it's worth $400,000, we would request documentation for where that property went, receipts or documentation that it was scrapped or whatever that property is, that is to indicate the appropriate amount that we would give to the counties. So the Business Personal Property Division audits, as a matter of practice, any business that reports a drop in business personal property of 40% or more from one year to the next. This is to verify that there were no errors in the self-reported assessment and to ensure that counties continue to collect revenue for the full amount of business personal property owned by a business within their jurisdiction. So what we've seen and heard from counties over the last year is that they've seen a decrease in business personal property, and that caused us to look into the percentage of businesses that are increasingly indicating that they have under $20,000 in property, regardless of what they've had in the previous years. And because of the provision under current law, SDAT is prohibited from reaching out to them to engage them to discuss either documentation of where that property is or any sort of explanation. And so it results in an increasingly utilized sort of exemption that businesses are using. So I request a favorable report for this bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So are there threshold amounts that you've got in this bill? Or, I mean, or like,
So all this does, it doesn't change the provision of the law that allows the $20,000 exemption.
I got
All it
that
does
part,
is
yeah.
there's one sentence that says, that's in current law that says, if a business indicates their property is under $20,000, the department may not request any additional documentation or engage in any inquiry. So in a situation where someone indicates this, it's not going to always require us to engage with them. But if through our routine practice, if we see that there's been a reduction, if someone's had 400,000, and then this year, that would trigger us to
that's
it would
a pretty
allow
big
us to
drop,
do that.
right?
Right.
But what if they're at 30,000? Are you going to start checking on people?
It wouldn't be 40%.
What's that?
It's our standard practice is they have to show a reduction at least 40% in there before we'll engage with them.
Yeah, we're not particularly interested. I mean, there's no sort of provision in the bill that would prohibit us from doing specifically that, but that's certainly not a case that we would ever.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly get the idea that you don't want someone to go from, 400,000 to 20,000. It doesn't make any sense. I get that. But there's a whole lot of ground in between there.
Sure. I mean, so the way, and just if I may, this is a practice that we had been doing all the way up until 2022. And it's a practice that doesn't just sort of allow us to kind of confirm the data that we receive, but also sometimes identify trends, right? Like, and we're seeing from particular businesses that they're giving us a lot of receipts, they're selling a lot of their equipment. That's the kind of thing that we aren't able to really know now. But the thing that we are always focused on, and our kind of North Star, is just accuracy of assessments. So a small discrepancy like that is pretty well within our margin of error, and not something that we would want to dedicate resources to investigate. It's only in situations where we're seeing those significant drops that we would even want to. Because again, it's also a matter of bandwidth, right? We're not going to pursue a $1 reduction, just because we feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
I think we'll always have to have some more time to talk about this in the coming weeks.
Thank you. So, members of the committee, my name is Bob Yeager from the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. I'm also here to support our departmental bill SB 146. This legislation is designed to remove two existing statutory requirements that mandate local assessment offices be located in the county seat, and that mandate that assessment supervisors must reside in the county seat. So from our firsthand experience over the last couple of years in lease renewals, as well as staffing these senior positions, so the county supervisor is the senior person who's in charge of that county assessment office. We've seen these two problems that currently exist that were limited by under current law. So under current law, requiring our assessment officers to be located in the county administrative offices severely limits the availability and cost-effective office space options, particularly in smaller counties. So what we've seen is where we're not able to renew a lease on the property that we're in, and then we look at other options working with DGS and the real estate division, and there's not sufficient property available to accommodate the needs of the employees, availability to customers, centrally located. And so under current law, we're not able to look outside of that jurisdiction in order to locate the office. This restriction can force the department to choose from only one or two buildings, which may be inconveniently located for our residents, and makes it difficult to secure facilities that are both operationally suitable and publicly accessible. It also prevents us from having competitive cost pricing in terms of these leases. It allows existing landlords to significantly increase the lease renewal rate. Furthermore, the current residency statute unduly limits the pool of qualified candidates for assessment supervisors. So the local jurisdiction is able to propose a list of supervisor candidates for these positions, and then we evaluate their qualifications. We've seen increasingly that counties will suggest particularly, we had an instance where Baltimore City had suggested several candidates, but none of them lived within the city limits. So it didn't allow, it would have allowed us to consider them, but in a situation where we've determined that the suggestions are not sufficiently experienced, we would look to our own pool of assessors that work for SDAT, and it limits the availability when they have to live within that specific jurisdiction, when we could use candidates from neighboring counties. So experienced assessors who possess valuable institutional knowledge may be ineligible solely due to their residency requirement. So this limitation can restrict selection of the most qualified leadership and reduce continuity. The proposed legislation would directly address both of these issues, removing the county seat location rule and eliminating the residency requirement. And if this bill passes, it would allow the department to operate more efficiently and assure we can hire the best possible leadership for these positions. So with that, I request your favorable report for this bill.
Yes, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Real quick question. I mean, I really believe that locally and making a decision and having somebody that you can go talk to locally and have somebody that lives in that community is the best representation of the government. Why? I mean, and that obviously was the reason why we had done that in the past and why this legislation existed. Why do you feel that this is okay to just say, well, we're going to have somebody from a different area, different jurisdiction, come in and make those decisions and not even maybe have an office in that county?
It would be our default position to try to locate within the county seat and use someone from within the community. We've just, through the last couple of years, we've come across a situation where either the county made their recommendations and someone wasn't sufficiently experienced, and then we've looked within our own pool and no one from that county office was either interested or able to take on those additional responsibilities. So our next step would be to look at neighboring counties where people could commute in there, where people might have the sufficient abilities to do that. But under current law, we wouldn't be able to put that in place.
And just to sort of expand, at times familiarity with a county is based on how long the assessor has worked in that particular county. We do have assessors that have worked in specific counties for 40 plus years who don't actually live in those counties but have a deep and intimate familiarity with the dynamics, the pricing, the markets of that county. Those employees under current law would be prohibited from consideration just because of where they live, even if it's, just outside the jurisdiction. This bill would not touch county's ability to recommend county supervisors to us. We, want to emphasize that we will continue to work with counties to select the best supervisor for their assessment offices.
I appreciate your answer. I think it's a terrible idea. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving to Senate Bill 188. By the way, we're going to, right after this, we're going to take probably a 5-10 minute break.
Okay. Alan, you got to sit there if you need to, but I'll go ahead and sit next to you. Good morning, Chair Gazzoni, members of the committee. My name is Bruce Gartner. I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Transportation Authority, here today to testify in support of Senate Bill 188, which increases the MDTA's bonding limit from $4 billion to $5 billion. This legislation is a response to the near-term financing needs for the Francis Scott Key Bridge, as well as our other capital program needs at the Maryland Department of Transportation. The interim financing needs specific to the Key Bridge are related to the way the financing will work. So the MDTA has a cap right now that's in Transportation Article 4-306. In November, the board approved a forecast that projects debt outstanding to exceed that beginning in July 1 of 2028. Depending on the federal reimbursement seed for the Key Bridge, the bonding limit could be exceeded earlier in the fiscal year, beginning July 1 of 27. So that's why we're here today. Passing this legislation this year gives us the time to prepare for bond sale in the first half of calendar year 27, and demonstrates to both the federal government and our investors that we have the tools necessary to deliver both the Francis Scott Key Bridge and our existing capital program. Given the significant federal reimbursement timing complexity for the Key Bridge, the need for this is paramount. The MDTA is assuming in our financial plan that we will need approximately $1.2 billion for the Key Bridge in financing needs. We are also assuming the federal reimbursements that are subject to appropriations by the federal government will have a 12-month lag in terms of when we would be reimbursed after expenditures. Slower or faster reimbursements could result in lower or higher interim financing needs, but this bill does provide us some flexibility that is much needed. The other cost driver for our capital program is our existing capital program that is approximately $3 billion over a 6-year period. And finally, we also have the need for this to lower the to help us keep any future toll increases more manageable and not have to rely fully on PAYGO revenues. Our capital program is supported by both bonding and pay-as-you-go revenues, and so this just gives us that more flexibility to manage that next toll adjustment that we have in our future. So with that, I would Alan's just here, our Deputy Director of Finance from MDTA with me. Doesn't need to make any comments here with questions, and I'll end my comments there, requesting your support. Thank you.
Thank you. I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
I figure you might have a few of those.
Just assure us that you've done a complete analysis. All your people have done all the background. You know that you obviously can accommodate what you're doing. Just assure us.
Yes, sir. We have done both the bridge cost range that we have put out there. Now, we still haven't done our final negotiations with a contractor, but we've also done a variety of sensitivity analysis in terms of what we can afford, what the federal government can afford. So I can assure you, just as over the many years of the Transportation Authority, that we have flexibility to deliver both the existing capital program and the Key Bridge.
Very good. Senator Stalling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I want to thank the Director and the Secretary for the information and the time that he's given me one-on-one, the opportunity about the Key Bridge. And I've had opportunity to talk to the Assistant Secretary in the Federal Department and had opportunity just to speak with him briefly, but we're setting up an opportunity to speak, and he knows I'm going to get back with him about that as well. But I want to thank him just for the one-on-one that we've had and the ongoing information that he's giving me every week with the contractors and the subcontractors and those that are available that can do the work, and going out on the site more than once and seeing the action of things that are happening. So I want to thank him for all that information, and we've been working well, and I know we're not in a good place in many ways, but at the same time, I see the hard work that they're doing, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, we have favorable. Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Chair Gazzoni and members of the committee. And thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of Senate Bill 188. Transportation financing decisions have immediate consequences. When funding tools fall behind, real construction costs, projects slow, schedules break down, and the system costs more to maintain over time. My name is Michael Sakata, and I'm President and CEO of Maryland Transportation Builders and Materials Association. And MTBA represents the entire transportation and construction industry in Maryland. These are your engineers, your contractors, material producers, and suppliers who design, build, and maintain the roads, bridges, tunnels, and systems this state depends on every day. We feel financing decisions first on our job sites, in project schedules, and ultimately in the condition, safety, and reliability of the transportation system. MTBA fully supports Senate Bill 188 because it gives MDTA the financial capacity to manage rising construction costs while maintaining an aging and heavily used system. As we heard, the bill does not authorize new project or expand MDTA's mission. It simply updates the statutory revenue bond cap while preserving existing oversight and accountability. Without this adjustment, delays and inefficient sequencing become unavoidable and costs rise. For these reasons, MTA respectfully urges a favorable report on Senate Bill 188. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
We've talked about this a little bit. If we put off, we've got road repairs on a 270 or 495. You got road repairs and you put them off for a year or 2 years. How much more does that cost us as far as repair work goes?
I think Federal Highway has some numbers out there. I think the delay, it's like 6 to 1. It's 6 times the cost to put off road repair where we 1X to or fix it now. So it's the delay cost. Yeah, absolutely. Roads are inevitable, and I think I know it's tangent from this, but statistically, MDOT has their CTP tour. We've heard their own documentation has majority of Marylanders drive. Majority of Marylanders use our roads out there. I think it's 80+%.
I think so too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I only had.
Chris is here for moral support for me.
I got you.
Yeah.
Do you feel supported?
I do.
Excellent. Any questions? Any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna, let's say we'll be back no later than 5 after.
5 p.m.
Okay, you ready? All right, we're ready to resume. And Senator Brooks. Glad to see you.
Glad to see you as well, Chair, again.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we got Senate Bill 9. You must have been busy over the interim.
I did. I have been, sir.
Yeah, I think so.
I have been. Good.
Sales and use tax, tax-free day, Veterans Day.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, Chair Cazzoni, Vice Chair Rosa Pep, if was here, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify before you on SB 9, Sales and Use Tax, Tax-Free Day for Veterans Day. For the record, I'm Senator Ben Brooks, representing the 10th Legislative District in Baltimore County. In response to concerns raised by the committee last year, we have reintroduced this bill with thoughtful revision that directly address those concerns. And the bill designates Veterans Day as a tax-free holiday in Maryland to honor the men and women who have served our nation, including uniformed service of the U.S. and a reserve component, the U.S. Postal Health Services, National Guards of any state. It allows for a tax-free purchase of $2,000 or less, a small but meaningful way for our state to thank those who have served and protected us. Maryland veterans have sacrificed to protect our freedoms and to continue to strengthen our communities as workers, leaders, and public servants. This bill recognizes not only their service to our country, but their ongoing contributions to the state. Importantly, this legislation includes a responsible safeguard by allowing the controllers to suspend the holiday at her discretion, ensuring fiscal flexibility. This is a modest, respectful gesture that shows Maryland values to all who have served, and I respectfully ask for a favorable report.
Senator?
And I do have a panelist.
Yes, Mr. Randall.
Mr. Randall?
Thank you very much, Chair Gazzoni and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today in support of Senate Bill 9. My name is Burt Randall. I'm the president of a Baltimore-based law firm, Franklin & Prokopic, but I'm here today before you as a former sergeant in the Maryland Army National Guard. As Senator Brooks alluded to, Maryland has a long and proud military tradition across all branches. And this bill, Senate Bill 9, does offer a practical, modest, and meaningful way to recognize that service by designating Veterans Day as that sales tax-free day for all veterans, including Guards, members, and reservists. It addresses a real and meaningful need. In Maryland, approximately 5% of veterans live below the poverty line, but 24% of them face significant financial hardship. Further, approximately 1 in 4 has a service-connected disability. For many, even a modest financial relief such as this can make a meaningful difference. A tax-free day allows veterans to purchase necessities, reduce household costs, and participate more fully in the holiday season. From a policy standpoint, it makes it's economically sound. Sales tax holidays in other states consistently show increased consumer activity, higher foot traffic, and stronger retail performance. Senate Bill 9 would encourage veterans and their families to shop and dine locally, supporting Maryland small businesses and generating economic activity at the start of the holiday season. It's a targeted benefit that recognizes service while recognizing local commerce. Senate Bill 9 is not extravagant, it's not complicated, it's a limited, symbolic, and economically responsible way for Maryland to say thank you for those that have given so much. For these reasons, I respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 9. Thank you for your time, and to Senator Brooks for his past service as well as his leadership on this issue.
Very good questions for this panel. Well, thank you both very much.
Thank you,
It looks
Chair.
like you, Senator, you really did, it's clear you did listen to what we talked about last year.
Indeed.
And it will be the first bill on our voting list.
Awesome. Thanks, Chair. Wow.
What's that?
Well, that's good.
You sound like, Steve, you sound like a politician. Yes, you have a second bill.
Yes.
Property tax credit retail service station.
Yes. All righty. Chair Gazzoni and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify before you on Senate Bill 58. For the record, I'm still Ben Brooks. And this bill is a reintroduction of the bill that passed out of this committee and the full Senate unanimously last year, and it is in the same posture. As electric vehicles production expands, the decline of gas-powered vehicles is inevitable. Across Maryland, for retail stations, service stations are being left behind, creating an abandoned and underutilized properties that can drag down surrounding communities. SB 58 gives counties and Baltimore City the flexibility to turn this challenge into an opportunity. This bill allows local government to offer property tax credits on property to property owners who convert former service stations into productive residential or mixed-use developments while excluding nuisance uses. The credit helps offset the significant cost of redevelopment, including the removal of underground storage tanks. By encouraging redevelopment, SB 58 supports community revitalization, creating housing and jobs, strengthens local economies, and advance environmental goals. And for this reason, I respectfully request a favorable report. And Mr. Chair, I do have a panelist, Mr. Kevin Canale.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kevin Canale here on behalf of the Maryland Association of Counties in strong support of Senate Bill 58. The senator did a fantastic job explaining the bill. You have my written testimony. I'll just say that if you drive out on Main Street and you keep going down, you'll see one of these properties that has been abandoned. The storage tanks that are underground are extremely expensive, and the remediation that goes along with it. I think the senator adjusted it's going to fix the fiscal note because now there's no state fiscal impact, so that should make it easier. We appreciate that it's a local option, and we'd ask for a favorable report.
It's a good bill last year, better bill this year. You're running on all cylinders there.
I obey, Chair. I obey.
All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Kagan, let's see how you do.
Well,
Bill 23.
let's hope it all continues. I'm sorry, did you say 23 first?
23.
Perfect. Okay. So this feels a little bit like Groundhog Day. You've seen this bill many, many times. I'm going to be super brief. For the record, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. This bill has passed over and over and over and over again unanimously out of committee and on the floor, and we have a new bunch of partners on the House side, so I'm optimistic that 5 is the magic number on this bill. It creates a revolving loan fund to allow our nonprofits, our 41,000 plus nonprofits in Maryland, to participate in helping achieve our climate solutions
Has it changed at all
goals.
since last year?
Sorry?
Has it changed at all since last year?
Nope, it's exactly the same. If anyone watching at home or any new members, I just wanted to do that super quickly.
Yeah. No, I got
You want to move favorable right now, Mr. Chair?
Well, not everybody's here, so, but I don't want to not hear from Ms. Powers.
Oh,
Not
good
here.
afternoon,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. This is Kathy Magruder, Executive Director of the Maryland Clean Energy Center.
I just looked down at my list.
Yes. Thank you for hearing us today. I want to thank Senator Kagan for her vision and persistence regarding this bill, which would provide a small pool of funds to the Green Bank to make affordable loans to nonprofit organizations looking to implement building energy improvements to reduce related operating costs. As energy costs are rising, nonprofits are challenged to pay the bill while continuing to provide the services and benefits to stakeholders and communities that are associated with their missions. With this funding, MCEC can help address that challenge. We have the statute directive as well as the expertise and experience to work in this space. Since 2009, MCEC has leveraged over $240 million in private capital against approximately $24 million of contribution of public funds to pay for energy measures. This would add to our potential to do more. We look forward to assisting more nonprofits in the future with this investment, so I humbly request your favorable support for this bill with a request for a slight technical amendment that would allow the funds to appropriately flow to the Clean Energy Center. Thank you.
And we're fine with that.
Okay. Questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. 41.
Okay. Senate Bill 41, for the record, again, Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Our public arts enrich and uplift our communities. All over the state, we have sculpture and other artwork, and yet in Maryland, we don't protect our artists in the way that this bill would ensure that we can. There is a federal law that makes sure that artists are not required to raise that they should not waive their intellectual property rights. And yet too often, to get the contract, an artist is required to do that. So this would just say, make it optional. So if you want to pay me more, then I'll waive my rights, like you do for the wedding photos or something. So you can pay me more and not have to put my little digital print on it, or you can pay me less. The second part of this bill will create a statewide database that would include all the locations, the artists, a snapshot of the artwork, because the Baltimore Banner did a really impressive article of about a dozen pieces of art that have either been stolen or have vanished. They've been moved. So if it was the community's preference to not have that sculpture in this community anymore, before they move it, transfer it, melt it down, give it away, the artist should really be notified and be kept in the loop on that. That is simple, basic respect. I just want to say that I talked to the CEO of the Maryland State Arts Council, on which I am proud to serve and represent you all, and they're fine. I suggested a small, really modest amendment that would say that database should be available publicly on the website, because I think it's economic development and tourism. I'm going out to Garrett County. I want to see that cool sculpture while I'm out there. And so let's make that available without any personal identifying information, but the artist's name, the address of the installation, and again, a small photo or something. And he thought that was appropriate and what he expected to do anyway. So let's make that required. Happy to take any questions. This passed nearly unanimously out of the House last year, but we were busy at the end of the Senate session.
Questions?
Sorry. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, honorable members of the committee. My name is Nicholas Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. We're the statewide arts advocacy organization that champions public investment in Maryland's vibrant arts sector. We represent the interests of thousands of artists across Maryland. I'm here in full support of Senate Bill 41, and I thank Senator Kagan for her support in this way. This bill protects the rights of artists who create state-funded public art by ensuring they cannot be forced to waive their federal copyright or visual artist rights protections as a condition of their contract. These rights preserve the integrity of a work of art and protects the artist's reputation and legacy. Public art is not a decoration. It is a long-term investment in Maryland's communities. It enhances vibrancy, supports economic development, strengthens identity, and contributes to our collective health and well-being. These works become landmarks and carry meaning far beyond their installation date. When they are altered without the artist's consent, the public investment is permanently compromised. This bill also creates a simple, effective process to register state public art with the Maryland State Arts Council. This means better stewardship, better documentation, and greater accountability for the artwork that belong to all of us. Senate Bill 41 is limited, reasonable, and balanced. It applies only to projects involving state funds. It does not prohibit voluntary waivers, but it ensures that any waiver is intentional and in writing. Most importantly, it affirms that Maryland respects artists, protects artists' integrity, and values the public stake in preserving cultural legacy. Again, I thank this committee for their consideration, and I respectfully urge a favorable report on Senate Bill 41. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Wesley Clark. I'm an artist working out of College Park, Maryland. Robust public art is a significant economic driver to cities and the state. Placemaking, iconic art, architecture, parks, and bold civic landmarks drive tourism, create safer neighborhoods, and provide critical identity to a cultural narrative. Every state is competing to have the best go-to cultural landmarks. Maryland, especially with our proximity to DC, is in a distinct position to siphon off tourism to our cultural landmarks. It is imperative that Maryland continue to lead with signature public art that defines the history, community, and future of the state. This legislation to support artists and our VERA rights will only help the state and the caliber of national and international artists who stand to elevate the state experience. Upholding VERA rights is a priority in cities and states with preeminent art collections. These stakeholders know top-tier artists are loath to waive these rights. Requiring artists to do so instantly impacts the caliber of artists who will submit to an opportunity, essentially making a brutal self-edit by any agency requesting artists to waive VERA rights. The point of public art is to shine a light on the culture of a state and its cities. We do not want to dim that light or the caliber of artists we attract to the state. I urge the committee to vote favorably on the SB 41 bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could just translate one acronym that Mr. Clark used, VERA, just so you know, is the Visual Artists' Rights Act, and it was passed at the federal level in 1990. And it just protects the artists and stuff. In Maryland, we don't always do that right now.
Very good. Thank you for that. Questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3
All right.
with Senator Carrozza.
Let's see, I don't know if
911 specialist. I can't believe you're doing this bill.
Who knew that I care about 911? So let me just start so I don't forget that I want to give a shout out to Senator Carrozza. This is a Kagan-Carrozza bill, and I do need it amended so that it is in, Mr. Anthony, as by request of the 911 work group that I chaired this year, so that I don't hit my cap here. Sorry.
Noted.
So you all have heard me talk about 911 for years. I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Sadly, 3 people have died in my district when 911 has failed. And Maryland, through the work over the last 11 years, has moved to the forefront. And frankly, starting with you, Mr. Chair, and Senator Zucker, who were on 911 issues a very long time ago. So our work has put Maryland at the forefront of next-gen 911. And we have focused on funding and staffing and training and mental health care and cybersecurity and oversight and all the things. The one piece that we haven't gotten across the finish line, but the Senate did pass unanimously last year, is better retirement benefits for our 911 specialists. These are the courageous women and men who work under the headsets and save lives and property every single day. It is a traumatic, exhausting, stressful job that is truly impossible to fathom unless you go and visit your local PSAP, your public safety answering point, and listen and do a kind of sit-along. They literally listen to domestic violence or suicide or abuse, attacks. My baby isn't breathing. My house is on fire. They listen to that every day, and then they hang up the phone, and they don't know what the next call is going to bring. There's some really terrific testimony in your files. I want to flag Eric Gall, who is now on the 911 board, talked about how he's a field responder. And when he's in the field, and Senator Bailey knows all about this, when you're in the field, you can see something that's awful and scary and traumatic. And then you get to hopefully fix it You get to help people. And then you go back to the station, and maybe you have a coffee, and you talk with your buddies and all that, and you've got a bit of a break. When you're under the headset, you take that call, and as soon as the first responders arrive, you hang up. And so you don't know whether the baby was saved, whether the fire was put out in time, whether the attacker was caught, whether the abuser was stopped and arrested. You never have closure. And again, you're instantly in the next call. The rate of PTSD is astonishing. Death by suicide among 911 specialists is rampant. And this is a very modest acknowledgement that we can give to these remarkable public servants. And again, you all already voted for this, and we passed it unanimously last year. I hope that we can move it with the modest sponsor amendment. And I want to thank Senator Carrozza, and I do want to also say that this bill is a result of a 911 work group that has best practices and recommendations, and was unanimously and in a bipartisan manner, obviously unanimously approved in our report, including this bill in particular. So happy to take any questions. Thank you. Sorry, yes, Nettie.
Okay. Hello, my name is Nettie Harris, and I'm a 911 specialist for Baltimore City Police Department, Police Fire Department. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the state. My name is Nettie Harris, and I'm a 911 specialist for the City of Baltimore for the past 23 years. I am also a proud member of the City Union of Baltimore, AFT, Local 800, and the union that represents the 911 city employees, including our dedicated 911 specialists. I am on this committee, I call on this committee and issue a favorable report for 148, Bill 148, the bill that would include the state's first responders who work in our state's different 911 centers to be included in the Hometown Heroes Act and allow them a bit of tax break on their retirement incomes. I believe you have my written testimony, so allow me to highlight a few points and answer questions that you may have about my work. What type of work do we do as 911 operators? As 911 operators, we answer 911 specialists, I'm sorry. We answer police, fire, and ambulance calls on a daily basis, help deliver babies, talk people through CPR to save someone's lives. We help people through active domestic violence situations as they are happening. Our job is very stressful, a very stressful one to my coworkers and I, and we're often subject to traumatic situations. Many people don't stay because of this, and this needs to be addressed. These viral services are really needed to stay staffed. Whew, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. We are the definition of first responders in crisis situations. The Bill 148 recognizes this and will give us 911 retirees the same tax benefits that the state gives its other first responders. In order to recruit and retain the best and most qualified individuals for this role, I ask that you're favorable for Bill 148. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll feel free to ask. Whew, Jesus.
On virtual. Mr. Ripley, is it? Mr. Ripley. Go ahead, Mr. Ripley. Doesn't seem like he hears me. He's muted and I'm muted. I think I'm muted too, to him. Mr. Ripley? No, he can't hear me. See, I'm muted.
That's because you're muted.
I don't know. You tell me.
Mr. Ripley, can you hear me? Because we're waiting for you to testify now.
Maybe he can hear now.
I can hear now.
Oh, good. Good.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Welcome.
Members of the Senate Budget and Taxation Committee, my name is John Ripley. I'm the president of the Baltimore County Federation of Public Employees. Local 4883, representing the Baltimore County 911 specialists. I respectfully call on this committee to issue a favorable report on Senate Bill 148, recognizing the 911 specialists as true first responders by rightfully adding them to the Hometown Heroes Act. Over the years, I've witnessed these hardworking men and women perform stressful, highly technical, and ever-changing and demanding jobs of public safety. As a 911 center specialist, they have demonstrated countless acts of sacrifice, commitment to public safety. The 911 center specialists also commonly support their communities that they live and serve in a wide ranging of ways. The state has recognized 911 specialists by correctly reclassifying them as first responders. Now let's finish the job and now let them correctly add 911 specialists to the Hometown Heroes Act. I want to take a moment to personally thank Senator Kagan, who's led this charge for many years, putting a spotlight on 911 specialists, recognizing their profession, not just their partnership in public safety, but recognizing them as a true pillar in public safety. Again, I urge your support for Senate Bill 148, and I thank you for this time.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? Yes, Senator McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question. I think that this is my first time seeing my friend. I've known President Ripley for close to a couple decades, and just want to say it's good to see you virtually, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Who's muted? He didn't hear you. You text him. That's a good idea. All right. Well, thank you both. And then thank you, Ms. Harris, for the work you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yep. All right. Senator West. Now, this is not a court of law, so let's make it easy. Make it quick.
I've had a full program of hearings on my own committee this morning, so I know what you're going through.
Is this first one a local bill?
Yes,
And it's,
Senate Bill 30.
Authorizing?
Yes.
Okay. You got a letter?
Not yet. We haven't had a delegation meeting, but we will have one shortly. I think next Monday.
As soon as you get one, that'd be great.
Okay.
You can go on to the next one, unless this gentleman wants to testify.
Why don't you just tell them why the Fraternal Order Police Lodge number 34 deserves property tax exemption?
Sure. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, my name is Jim Krasinski. I'm the president of Fraternal Order Police Lodge 34. We are located in Middle River, Maryland, and we have almost 600 members made up of active and retired members of the Maryland Transportation Authority Police. As I'm sure you'll see in my written testimony, our lodge is located in Middle River on Wampler Road. We sit on about 9 acres. We use our lodge to obvious union business. However, we serve our community all the time. If you can look, if you see on my written testimony, I have letters from community organizations that show that we are an essential asset in that community. For instance, we hold numerous community events like Trunk or Treat, Breakfast with Santa, Christmas tree bonfires that are attended and sold out, mostly almost exclusively by community members. We routinely let our property be used by the Baltimore County Police when they need a staging area for incidents that would occur in the area. They're SWAT. They use our facilities. They use our building as a shelter and bathroom facilities. We donate our use numerous times to numerous Baltimore County organizations, such as the Baltimore County Board of Public Works. They're going to hold a hearing there next month regarding local transportation assets, and we donate the use of our hall for them to do that. So there's no cost to the county. So seeing that we are serving community, I think that this property tax credit will go a long way in allowing us to serve our members and also increase our community support.
Thank you, Mr. Krasinski.
So this is just for the lodge, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Got it.
It's going to cost Baltimore County $9,000 a year in lost property taxes.
Got it. Well,
that's the bill.
That'll be Baltimore County's business.
That's right.
Yep.
Where's it located?
730 Wampler Road, Middle River.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, you got another one?
I do, one more.
All right.
Senate Bill 33. It's
Yes,
my
sir.
pleasure to present Senate Bill 33. This also should be brief. For many years, most business entities in Maryland have been able to transfer title to real property owned by the business entity to a wholly owned subsidiary without paying recordation or transfer taxes. Generally, the subsidiary is formed strictly to hold the real property and is commonly referred to as a special purpose entity. Why would a firm want to make such transfers? The most typical reason is to put the real estate into a single purpose subsidiary. So if a situation should arise in which a large judgment is entered against the subsidiary, the liability will only attach to the subsidiary and to the property owned by the subsidiary and will not attach to other property owned by the parent entity. This is a very common risk management technique. As a corporate lawyer, I've done this a lot during the course of my career. The tax property article currently specifically authorizes corporations, limited liability companies, limited partnerships, and statutory trusts to make such real property transfers without paying recordation or transfer taxes. But there's another form of entity known as a common law trust. The tax property article does not currently include common law trusts in the list of entities that can transfer real property in this way. So Senate Bill 33 will rectify this issue by simply adding common law trusts to the defined list of business entities permitted to transfer real property to a wholly owned subsidiary without paying recordation and transfer taxes. That's the bill. I appreciate the committee's consideration. And with us today is Tom Grace, a partner at Venable, Bacher, Venable. I'm dating myself. It's no longer Venable, Bacher, and Howard. It's just Venable. And he's going to talk. He's a member of the the Estates and Trusts section of the Maryland State Bar Association, and will be able to answer questions and testify further.
Hi, Senator West said, my name's Thomas Grace. I'm the Vice Chair of the Legislative Committee of the Estates and Trusts section of the State Bar Association. Adding to what Senator West said, in Maryland, transfers of real estate by business entities or individuals to wholly owned subsidiaries or wholly owned LLCs are exempt from the 2 or 3% transfer recordation tax, and the rate depends on the jurisdiction. This kind of transfer is very common. It allows the isolation of potential liability claims to the real estate and protects the other assets of the individual or the entity creating the LLC. However, common law trusts are not afforded the same protection. A common law trust is a trust established by a trust agreement or under someone's will, and for which there are trustees that have fiduciary duty to the beneficiaries. Under the proposed Senate Bill 33, which we support, trustees of common law trusts would be able to transfer real estate to an LLC wholly owned by the trust without triggering the transfer or recordation tax, allowing other trust assets to be protected from potential liability associated with the real estate. This would put trusts and trustees on the same footing as individuals and businesses in this regard. I would add, many practitioners think this exception to the transfer recordation tax already exists, but this bill would make it explicit. And as a quick example, a client of mine recently passed away and left her home and a few $100,000 in a trust for the care of her special needs child with her son as the trustee. And the few $100,000 is there for in-home nurses, other service providers that might come to the house. And the trustee would like to transfer the real estate to an LLC so that if there is, a slip and fall or any liability, that the other assets of the trust wouldn't be exposed. So for those reasons, we respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 33.
Thank you. Any questions or comments here? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Watson, Senate Bill 168.
Hey, buddy. Hey, guy. How are you?
Good morning, senators and the members of the Budget and Tax, and even Senator Augustine, who left me. I'm Senator Ron Watson, representing the 23rd Legislative District here to present Senate Bill 168, SDAT blockchain-based real property test pilot program. Colleagues, we've had too many instances of fraud related to creating fake deeds, leases, and rental agreements to fraudulently obtain access to homes. We've seen websites created to solicit an individual to make a payment for illegal access to an empty property. The recipient of the payment with their team breaks into the home, changes the locks, and provides a fake deed. When the true owner arrives, they have to make the decision of paying those living in their property illegally to regain access, with totals sometime exceeding $3,000 for relocation expenses or going through a lengthy court process. Last year, I passed SB 46, Real Property Wrongful Detainer, aimed at reducing the processing time through the courts to restore property to the rightful owner that was illegally obtained. This small step forward in protecting property owners has proven insufficient. This morning, I received an email from Professor Z. Wang, who is a professor at the University of Maryland Medical School. And I just want to briefly summarize this. Senator, I own a property in Baltimore that was illegally occupied while I was on vacation from December 13th through January 7th. He is still out of his property. Upon my return, I discovered the locks changed and a squatter in possession of the home. The occupant presented a fraudulent lease to the police, who then treated the matter as a civil dispute, effectively barring me from my own property. That occupant provided a name and address that was later discovered to be false. The name belonged to an active duty Navy member, while the occupant claimed to be a nursing student. This misinformation has severely stalled my legal recourse. I've been forced to amend court filings multiple times and pay additional service fees. Furthermore, due to the false identity's active military status, my case may be postponed for 90 days, forcing me to remain in temporary housing at my own expense. This happens every day, colleagues, and it was interesting that I got that this morning in preparation to testify before you today. So why this bill? With our goal of balancing the budget and taking a firm stance on not raising taxes or increasing fees, without new sources of revenue, we are forced to cut back on services, but there's another option. In California, amidst the rising national crisis of property squatting, Quantum AI Shield announced the launch of their Property Protector system, introducing a powerful membership platform with a national registry designed to significantly enhance real estate security across the United States. This innovative platform employs cutting-edge blockchain and AI technology to verify homeowners and tenant registrations, setting a new standard in the fight against unauthorized property with immediate verification and response. Here locally, Baltimore City, without legislation, started a pilot program with the goal of recording 14,000 properties to support the city's current vacant housing initiatives, as well as redevelopment opportunities. This opens the door for title insurance companies to participate, as this process makes it cleaner, faster, and more efficient for title insurance companies to underwrite, thereby making it cost less for the consumer while eliminating long waiting times for processing. Addressing matters of disputed ownership and title fraud in a clear, expedited manner, and enabling quicker and more reliable transfer of property rights. To date, Baltimore City has recorded over 286,000 properties in their blockchain registry. This summer, I met with Baltimore County State's Attorney, his team, and the good Senator Johnny Ray Saling to do something similar in Baltimore County, and those initiatives are underway. This bill is not about technology for technology's sake. It's about modernizing government processes that are still heavily dependent on paper, manual workflows, and fragmented systems, and asking, how can we do better? Blockchain and other innovative technologies offer real opportunities to create streamlined processes, greater government efficiencies, cost savings for taxpayers, and stronger protections for data property rights and public records. But these outcomes don't happen in silos. They require thoughtful policymaking, practical implementation, and strong partnerships between legislators, agencies, and local governments and the private sector, which is why in presenting this bill to you today, I am not asking this committee to move favorable, but to prepare you for a resubmission next session, this bill converted to a study, because there are many players in this, and we really, really want to get it right. To date, I've engaged a variety of stakeholders, such as Maryland Land Records, Maryland State Archives, and to move us forward requires a firm and clear understanding of the as-is environment before we can move towards the 2B objective. And so in closing, advancing emerging technology in government is not about abandoning oversight or accountability. It's about moving beyond outdated methods and truly exploiting the tools that are available to us today to serve residents more effectively and to provide protections when applicable. Finally, my gold standard. The same way any of us gets caught speeding, police pull us over, ask for license and registration, they compare your license with what's in a database, motor vehicles. If you are on a vacation and you come home and you dial 911 and a police officer is able to look in a ledger to see that you are the owner of record, they should be immediately able to take action and evict and get out of your property someone who should not be there because you have the documentation to prove who you are. So the solution is real-time verification and security. This bill addresses these failures by authorizing a blockchain registry to provide the technology for 3 essential benefits to Maryland. Immutability. By using digital titles secured by smart contracts, we create a record that cannot be altered or flipped by out-of-state fraud rings. Real-time validation for law enforcement. Provides secure API for law enforcement in wrongful detainer situations. An officer in Prince George's or Baltimore can validate legal possession in seconds rather than letting a property fall into neglect during the months of litigation. And finally, it provides us with a proactive defense. Since roughly 40% of title losses stem from fraud that current public records cannot identify, an immutable blockchain would provide that gold standard of truth that our legacy systems currently lack. That concludes what I wanted to present to this body today. I'm joined by the president of the Maryland Blockchain Association, whose team met this morning to talk about how we as a state can leverage technology to streamline our processes. And members of the organization have come around to visit each and every one of your offices. And if they have not yet, you probably got some information from them. I'd like at this time, Madam Vice Chair, to turn it over to Ms. Jackie Cooper from the Maryland Blockchain Association.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Chair and the members. The Maryland Blockchain Association was started about 2 years ago. My background's in law and education, and I've been in the blockchain technology space over 10 years. It's changed a lot, and it is being used, the technology is being used around the world in various countries as well as states. It's actually, the technology was developed over 34 years ago by a Maryland Scott Stornetta and his partner. So again, having a study and having the use of the blockchain technology within the real estate area to talk about titles and identity is not unusual, and it's really necessary. We need to update the infrastructure within our state for what is happening from an identity perspective, from a real estate perspective. Again, it's no different than what we've looked at from the healthcare perspective. There's a lot of paperwork involved with a lot of different industries, and we need to update. Because of the updating, it ends up saving us money. It also saves us time, and it also protects the individual who ends up having certain situations, like in this situation where someone can enter your house and you have to then struggle to financially still pay for the mortgage at the same time that you're paying for the lawsuit and everything else to regain back, which is what your property is. The actual technology, there's just like cars, there's a variety of blockchains that can be used, but it's very simple. And it is something that is very transparent, so individuals can see it, and it is immutable. Once the information is put on there, it doesn't get changed, and it's time-stamped. So my testimony is very short. I think that this, all the services within our state need to be looking at blockchain technology. The Air Force is using it, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Defense. I mean, there's a lot of different government entities that are looking at this on the federal side, and we need to be looking at this on the state side as well. So thank you so much.
And finally, my partner who's been assisting me on this is Ms. Ebony Thompson, who is on the line here, Baltimore City solicitor, who has successfully implemented this technology for the city of Baltimore.
Great, welcome.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much, Senator, and thank you, Chair. I'll wait for my 2 minutes to come up, but I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to talk very briefly about my strong support for SB 168. Again, my name is Ebony Thompson. I serve as City Solicitor for Baltimore City. I represent the Mayor, Brandon Scott, the City Council, and all city agencies in legal matters. I'm here in strong support of SB 168, which would establish a blockchain-based real property title pilot program at the State Department of Assessments and Taxation to securely record and verify property ownership and to help law enforcement and courts resolve real property disputes, including squatting. Baltimore knows painfully what happens when property systems are slow, fragmented, and error-prone. Just over 2 years since starting our initiative and our pilot through a public-private partnership with Medici Land Governance, we supported recording not only the 13,000 vacant properties that we were setting out to address, but over 228,000 properties citywide on chain. And that experience taught us a simple truth that when you strengthen the reliability and accessibility of title information, you unlock faster transfers, fewer disputes, and more responsible investment. I respectfully ask for a favorable report on SB 168. It is a smart next step for Maryland. It creates a pilot with an opt-in digital title mirror, a secure API for real-time valuation for courts and law enforcement, and the ability to test smart contracts for transfers and escrows while requiring cybersecurity, privacy, and interoperability. So I would also love to serve as a resource as Maryland designs the pilot and safeguards residents. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Senator Stallings, you're listed as a witness on this bill.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I just want to briefly say real quick that I appreciate the senator and I appreciate Baltimore City giving us the opportunity to meet with our Scott Schellenberg in his office. And we had an opportunity to talk about this blockchain and what they had been doing for a period of time in the city of Baltimore and how Baltimore County right now is implementing it with Baltimore City and working with them. And the results is amazing. We see that people don't have to go and do things on their own terms or going about a way for violence. They can do it legally and do it in a way that in a timely fashion. And it's been proven. And I believe if we can implement something like this in the state of Maryland, we could really make a difference for homeowners, and people will not be in fear of going on vacation for 7 to 10 days or a month and coming back and finding out that their locks were changed, that everything in their house has changed, that things are missing, and they can't even go in their home. And this is happening around the world, let alone happening in our state. And I think this is a great, great program. We should implement this. I understand we need a study, but we do have something in place now that's working. And just knowing that, this is a benefit for every person in this room, that this could happen to one of us at the same time, or a family member. And so knowing that, I believe with everything in me that if we don't move forward and do something like this to make a difference for our neighbors,
and for anybody else that's in our family or friends, somebody could take advantage of someone, and that could be you. So I appreciate the testimony. I appreciate the good senator. And I think, Madam Chair, that we could do a great thing and move forward with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that does it for Senator Jennings.
Sorry. So I understand blockchain, know it well, with regards to crypto and everything with mining. And I'm just asking, is there a official organization that mines this for legal documents versus fiduciary?
So I love your question. Blockchain technology is a tool similar to the cloud technology, but it's a lot more secure.
Yeah, I
Crypto.
know how it works.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
okay,
sharing it for others who might not. Being in the education space, I respect those that know, but I also want to bring up those that are kind of new to the area. So crypto is only one piece. The technology can be used for information transfer. Yeah, the technology can be used for information transfer, and the token, the information that the information might be put into, can either be used as a currency, which is totally separate than what we're talking about, or the information transfer on here on chain for information about the title and where it needs to go, in terms of the property registry. So, again, it is separate. It's not mining. It's a technology where you can, companies like FedEx use this for supply chain. The Air Force is using it with one of the companies that actually came to our breakfast this morning, and they're using it in supply chain for a lot of different areas. So it's not about mining. It's about uploading of information into the technology flow and then sending that information to the approved partner who's supposed to receive it. So mining is just to help with this. Mining is when you're really using the currency side of it. So you do have a minting, you do have a recording of it on the blockchain, but it's a different terminology.
Okay, so you're still having multiple repositories of the data on multiple servers out there.
You can just.
That's the idea behind blockchain, is that you have so many sources of or data storage that nobody can corrupt one file.
You have different nodes, and it's decentralized.
Yeah.
Now, within certain areas, like the military, let's say, they have to have control over those nodes. They have to know that it's secure and that there's, so you have private blockchain, you have public blockchain, you have hybrid. So you can, depending upon who it is that's looking at the data, the information, you can decide who has access to it. It's, like I mentioned before, it's being used in healthcare. And so with that, certain hospitals might only have certain information. So it can be decided.
But so I guess my last question, Madam Chair. So these nodes, are they private companies that handle it or that are accredited?
So in answer to your question, just like there are many types of cars, there are many types of blockchain protocols that are out there. And Baltimore City is using Medici. It is a blockchain protocol that was designed for this purpose. And so again, it will determine who you use as the storer of the information will be dependent upon what the project is.
Okay, thanks.
I think that does it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Senate Bill 185, Senator Bailey.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and distinguished members of the committee. Today,
Senator Bailey. I'm here to talk about Senate Bill 185. This would increase the maximum value of the income tax subtraction modification for public safety employee retirement income from $15,000 to $20,000. Colleagues, we've all heard this bill before. I would ask you to please see my written testimony. I respectfully request a favorable report on Senate Bill 185. I thank you for your consideration, and I will turn this over to my distinct.
Good afternoon. My name is Angelo Consoli. I'm the second vice president for the Maryland State Lodge of the Fraternal Order Police, the past president for Lodge 89 in Prince George's County. Thank you for letting me speak today in favor of this bill. Like the senator said, I want to also thank him for bringing the bill forward yet again. You've seen it many times before. Just ask for a modest increase in the subtraction modification for retirement income of a retired police officer of $5,000 increase. If memory serves, I think Governor Moore in his first year asked for a similar increase and was given it for military veterans. And so we're just kind of asking to get pay parity with them and give us that ability as well, and show that the state of Maryland stands behind its police officers as well. One of the biggest issues we do have in the state is a lot of our members are leaving the state to bordering states and other states in the South and across the West that give actually full pension break to police salaries. And 100% of nothing is nothing. So we do ask that you do something to help keep the membership in here. Many of the retirees still are active and productive in jobs within the state, and also do spend their income all throughout the state. So even with the tax break, they're still going to turn around and spend the money here. So again, thank you for your support, and hopefully you vote favorable on this bill.
Senator King, Chairman Gazzoni, members of B&T, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk. I'm Tom Skinner. I'm the first vice president of the Professional Firefighters of Maryland and an active lieutenant in the Baltimore City Fire Department for the last 34 and a half years. This bill, as was stated, this is the third time it's unchanged. We appreciate your support in the past. President Buttle has submitted written testimony on behalf of the Professional Firefighters of Maryland. We urge your support on this matter. Our members, with a modest increase, makes Maryland more competitive for our retirees to stay. My friend here hit it on the head. When they leave and they go to Delaware, they take their house with them, and they take their doctors with them, and they take their grocery bills with them. We need to keep our retirees here. We're from here. We want to stay here. Thank you. I urge a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much.
And thank you,
Okay.
Senator Bailey.
Senator Folden.
Oh, thank you.
Senate Bill 117.
Good afternoon. Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Colleagues, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. Chair. Esteemed colleagues, for you today we have SB 117. For the record, my name is William Folden, State Senator representing District 4 of Frederick County. SB 117 deals with property tax credit for surviving spouse of a fallen public safety officer or judicial officer. This stems from my time as when I was a crash reconstructionist for Frederick County. This case is actually one that I investigated and handled, and it's a very sad case. When Richard Mark Bremer, who was a police officer with Frederick Police, was killed in the line of duty on October 23rd, 2008. It permanently changed the life of his wife and the lives of their 3 children. At 39 years old, his wife Sharon suddenly had become the sole parent to 3 young children, facing unimaginable grief, trauma, and uncertainty about how she would raise them alone. Sharon and her husband, Mark, remained in the same home while married, which is still in both of their names, and which they had hoped to one day to pass to their children. Sharon eventually remarried, remained in the same home while married, which is still in both of their names, and which is why they hope to one day to still pass it to their children. When Sharon remarried under current law, she lost this property tax benefit that was passed to her by the state of Maryland solely because she chose to move forward with her life. While others retained it based only on remaining unmarried, that distinction does not reflect fairness, nor does it reflect the realities that a surviving spouse faces. This rule needs to be changed so that all surviving spouses of fallen public safety officers are treated equally, regardless of marital status, provided they remain in the same property in the same home. That creates a foundation of security and safety for the children that they're bringing. And I think all of us would want to think that having 3 young children and dying in the line of duty, that there would be someone that would be willing to step up to help raise our children and provide them the foundation for success. This change would offer meaningful relief to families who have already sacrificed so much, and it would ensure that no one else carries the same unnecessary burden for decades. So, and with that, I would ask for your favorable report on SB 117 so that, again, we take care of our first responders. And it's such a small number, but it does impact those that stay in the same home. And it's very clear the distinction is if the parties or if the surviving spouse does sell the home or move to another one, it doesn't transfer. It would be in the home that they stayed in during this horrible event. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I don't see any. Okay, how about Senate Bill 151?
Okay. Moving on. Madam Chair, Vice Chair, for the record, William Folden, State Senator for District 4. Senate Bill 151 would allow for credits with individuals residing and caring for elderly parents. I think what we're seeing a lot of in Maryland, especially in these very difficult financial times, is we're seeing a lot of our children become the caregivers for their parents. They do that out of love, and they do that out of an obligation that they feel that they need to be reciprocal in the idea that your parents raised you, your parents cared for you, they nurtured you, and we all, for the most part, unfortunately, at some point may need some help. And to have your children there willing to take you in is not something that they take lightly, but it is something that they take freely and of their own accord because they care that much. During the times when the parents are raising the child, we give them a tax credit. When the child takes in the parent who is no longer able to care for themselves, much like a child, sometimes dealing with different ailments, whether it be dementia or others, we give them nothing in support. And this bill would simply allow that provision to happen where those children that are taking in their parents and are unable to either afford or physically unable to care for themselves would be offered a benefit from the state to incentivize to keep them in our state and to maintain that family relationship. And with that, I would ask for your favorable report on SB 151. I'm happy to take any questions.
I don't see any questions. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 211.
I feel like I must be the last person in the room. No?
No.
Am I the last one? Oh, okay. Well, wonderful. I thought you all were just hanging out for me. I was so touched. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And you wouldn't? Okay. Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, esteemed colleagues, for the record, William Folden, State Senator, District 4. Before you today is SB 211. And this bill deals with the repeal of the Maryland estate tax. Oddly enough, I was just talking about caring for our elderly parents, and then there comes a time when, unfortunately, our loved ones will pass away. the monies that they've accumulated, the properties that they've bought, whether it's a farm or it's a family home, those properties, they've already paid taxes on that. They've been paying it their whole lives. They paid it when they bought it. Maryland is the only state out of all 50 states that has both an estate and an inheritance tax. The only one. And I think that that's time to no longer be the only one that's duplicative in our taxing of the survivors, the families of those that, when they pass away, are hit again with yet another tax. So, so in a lot of ways, we're triple taxing in some circumstances because we're taxing them at the time they're doing it, and the whole time they own the property, we're taxing them to their heirs from the estate tax before the funds are even distributed, and then the inheritance tax is where the beneficiary pays an additional tax on a specific amount that they inherit. We should be encouraging Marylanders to invest in Maryland, to buy property in Maryland, to buy farms in Maryland, to do the things that we want to keep them in Maryland. We should not be triple taxing someone after a lifetime of being in Maryland and providing a tax base for Maryland, and then to only have it retaxed again 2 more times after they pass. We're already seeing numbers of people leaving Maryland in the current economic climate. I know that you guys are very well aware in this committee of the financial constraints that the state is coming into, and we're looking to, it looks like the budget's even going to be bigger this year. I hope that's not the case, but obviously I can hope. And I think that it's important. It's not? Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
To be clear, and everyone should know this, it's a smaller general fund budget.
Okay.
Which is the part that we pay for.
Okay. Thank you.
$3 billion increase.
But it's a $3 billion increase, but the general fund is low. Okay. Well, then it sounds like I'm hopeful that this bill will find favorable traction in the committee to no longer be the standout, only one triple tax our people that live and invest in Maryland and spend their whole lives here to then tax their children or heirs that would be. So with that, I would ask for your favorable report on SB 211, and I am happy to take any questions on that as well. And I thank you for your time.
I don't see any questions. You just wowed them all.
This must be, you guys are the best committee ever.
Don't you think?
Man, I bet Chris West is still back in our committee asking questions, and there's nobody there. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Got a bill here, Senate Bill 193.
Hey. Second to last.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Paul Quarterman, District 2, representing Washington and Frederick counties. Thank you for the opportunity to present Senate Bill 193 to you today. This bill will provide a sales and use tax exemption for construction materials and warehousing equipment used in the target redevelopment area in Washington County. We heard this bill last year in this committee. This bill passed unanimously in this committee. This bill passed unanimously on the Senate floor. There are letter supports from our locals, including our former colleague, Senator Serafini, and he would like to be here today but couldn't be, but it sends his regards. With that, we ask for a favorable report.
Short and sweet.
Yep. Previous comments, move unfavorable.
Any questions? Okay, I think that ends it for this afternoon.
It does. Well done, everybody.